First we will eat your arms, and then we will eat your legs, and then we will eat your face. You will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, floating along the street like a turd in the wind. Venom is a film starring Topher Grace and... What? It's not... Oh yeah, it's Tom. It kind of feels like... Alright, no. Let's try that again. Venom is a film starring Tom Hardy as the investigative reporter Eddie Brock. Also in that film is Riz Ahmed and Michelle Williams, and basically it's like this glorious cast of people who deserved better from this film. The film starts off, and it starts off as a real promising flick. Like 20-30 minutes into the film, as a comic book person, I was like in this. I was like, what is wrong with these critics? Why are they opening up their face? This is pretty cool, because I got hints of things that made me go, oh. Like I would be sitting on a cinema and I'd be like, yes, I like this, this is nice. And then something will happen and I'll be like, ah! For example, they name-dropped Jameson. Not Jameson the father, but Jameson the son. Because if you know the history, and even if you watch like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, J. Jonah Jameson's son is an astronaut. So when the ship crashed that had all the symbiotes and they talked about Jameson, I was like, yes, this is good. There was an entire cartoon where Jameson was like in another dimension and all that kind of stuff. It was great. Then they also talked about New York, you know, like Eddie's editors telling him, you know, we took a chance on you when, you know, after what happened in New York. And if you know Eddie Brock, he kind of had a fall from grace in where it comes to journalism. He fabricated a story. And that, you know, caused him to be exiled, basically. And he moved to San Francisco. That is comic accuracy. And then the symbiote came, and Venom and Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock started to interact, and that was actually very cool. That was beautiful. That was... Hearing how they moved together was phenomenal.
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chen.
It's also pays to note, if you didn't know, that Venom, the actual voice of Venom, is also Tom Hardy. So Tom is playing two roles. Huzzah!
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
The fight scenes that Venom was a part of, that actually looked pretty cool. The CGI for Venom worked nicely, and I say that because just before I went to the movie, there was like on YouTube, there was like a movie clip, because you know studios tend to just like, here's a clip from this upcoming movie, and I was watching Venom and I was like, something about the CGI kind of annoyed me, but I went in and I liked it and I thought, hey, that actually works. That's the plus. There is a terminology that is often used called phoning it in, and I feel like this is what happened here. Like they were phoning in their rules. Either that or the script was horrible or the editing was sad. And I'm more inclined to believe those two because those are really good actors. I mean, everybody has bad days, but those are really good actors. Tom Hardy said that there was like 30 to 40 minutes of footage with some of his favorite scenes that had to be taken out. Now, for those of you who don't know, Venom was meant to be an R-rated film. It became PG-13, and the story that goes on is that it's PG-13 because if Marvel, the MCU, wants to incorporate the idea of Venom into their movies, there's a way that it can be done now. That's the prevailing thought. I'm gonna go with dollar bill, y'all, because, you know, PG-13, more seats. I don't know if I needed it as PG-13. I also don't know, though, if having seen it, if an R rating would have given it more life. Because you could have had the R rating and still had a crappy script, and it would have still been a crappy movie. Michelle Williams' character, I can't even remember her name right now, but her character in the film, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. Like I maintain, she's a really good actress. I just did not feel that chemistry. I felt more of the chemistry between Eddie and himself / Venom than I did with her. And then you have Riz Ahmed, who plays the head of the Life Foundation. So he's kind of like Norman Osborn, but not. He's Lex, but not. He's Elon Musk, but not. And I'm not sure where he fits in. It's very middle of the road. Like, yes, he has a ruthless side. And yes, he does have the God complex. And, you know, I will create a new world and all that. But he didn't strike me as a villain one way or the other. And if you're going to do quasi-Norman Osborn, please do Norman Osborn.
You know how much I sacrificed?
My issue with Venom as well, to be honest with you, is that now you have like MCU fans and maybe even critics who will be like, you know what, you should just give this back to the MCU, give this back to Marvel. I don't necessarily need every movie to fall under the Feige domain. The MCU is brilliant, they are well organized, marketing wise, they know how to feed a crowd. They're good, they're really good at that. But they still have their flaws. In fact, for my money, they are deeply flawed. That being said, I will still dress up and cosplay and do all sorts of wonderful things when I know a Marvel movie is coming out because of reasons. I don't necessarily need everything to fall back into the MCU universe because, you know, no, it's not necessary. If Sony had done like a really fresh out of the gate, boom, kind of Venom, I would have been thrilled. It means then that Sony can say, we can stand on our own. Because for all intents and purposes, Spider-Man is still a Sony franchise. It's being created, it's being creatively handled by the MCU because they have an agreement. But coming out of Venom, I feel like maybe, you know what, maybe we should just give it back to Marvel and let them handle it. They are the nerds, they know what they're doing. It'll be PG-13 and there'll be unnecessary humor, but you know what, at least they might have a clue what's the deal.
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
The idea that Venom is a kind of a loser on his home planet, no. The idea that, yes, there were different symbiotes, but as far as I could remember, and I could be wrong, you can correct me on this, but as far as I could remember, most of them came out of Venom. Like, so you had Venom, and then you had Carnage, which everybody knows everybody knows Carnage. But then there was also like Riot, and then there's Phage. There's all these different personalities that comes out of the Venom symbiote because people were doing experiments and things on it to see what happened. No, they're like, you know, I am Riot. I am Venom. And the CGI, you know, the CGI, like I said, might have been good for the greater part of the movie, but when it comes to the climatic fight between the two symbiotes, and by extension the two humans, it was just a blob. It looked awful. Of course, at the end of the day, what does it matter? Because the Thursday night previews gave us $10 million. And so right now, Venom as a film is tracking really well, money-wise. Critically, not so much. So you're having right now a Batman versus Superman situation where fans and money-wise, it's doing really well, but critically, people are like, what is up with the storyline? Could the script not have been better? Why do I have to wait for an extended edition? If I'm paying actual money, what's the deal? There are some good parts in it, and especially coming on towards the end, like the end. There are two post-credit scenes that you really should stick around for. One kind of gives us a head into what's going to happen in Venom 2, if they decide to do that, you know, Venom 2. And it probably will be PG-13, all things being equal. And then there's another post-credit, like after the credits, scene, which is like about 7 or 8 minutes. It's a nice preview about something really awesome that is coming later on in the year. So you have that working for you. These are my thoughts. That's my opinion. You can go see it. Go see it at IMAX because at least it's crisp and it's clear, and you'll get all the visuals. Even in IMAX 2D, it still looks amazing. I'll give it that. It still looks amazing. So we will talk. Let's see what happens next for the rest of October.
Giant leaps will always come at a cost.